Robert Eggers' feature film debut, The Witch, set in 1630, solidified him as a filmmaker to watch, with A24 distributing this eerie horror film in the States and it grossing $40 million on a $4 million budget. It was truly impressive and greenlit his next production. Obviously, it also was the starting off point for Anya Taylor-Joy as her breakthrough lead role here, and the director-actress duo would reunite again for The Northman. Roberts is a filmmaker that attentively crafts this authentic period setting through language, production design, and just a general atmosphere. So his films should be perfect to stand the test of time, right? Might his first film even be the best one he's ever done? Welcome back to Quiet on Set, to a Roll That Again review of The Witch from 2014. Now, Eggers has his new film, his fourth film, Nosferatu, out in theaters now. I'm Ewan Graf, and joining me today is the Wicked Witch of the East, down under in the States, Lachlan Thiele. Lachlan, you love this film. Why? Tell me about it. Why is The Witch
Where the fuck did the Wicked Witch of the East come from? Jesus. Okay, no worries. What was your question? Sorry, I'm still offended by the insult at the start of this intro.
What's up? How you doing? Also, what do you think
man.
of The Witch?
I love it. It's spectacular. I think it is one of his highlights. I think that, if I'm honest, over time, The Lighthouse has slowly become possibly at the bottom of my list. But I think it's because it's the one I haven't rewatched in the longest time. Obviously, Northman I've seen, and recently watched The Witch, and each time I watch one of them, they kind of pop up in the list. But I feel like The Witch nails the aesthetic, the vibe, and I feel like the restrictive nature of it all kind of lended a hand in perfecting this film. And I think that this film is absolutely fantastic, just like any of Eggers' films really are. I think even though I said The Lighthouse is at the bottom, it's not like it's all the way down here. It's not like we're talking, Christopher Nolan's all of his films, and then like Tenet is just like a weird, like definitely below all of them. Exactly.
Yeah.
I love The Witch. I love The Northman. I love The Lighthouse. And I'm sure when Nosferatu, I get to see it finally, I'm going to love that. And I think I'm going to be in this weird dilemma of how do I rank Eggers' films. And I was lucky enough this week to watch Eggers' student shorts and obviously the Short Brothers that he made just before The Witch to get funding for it, because he was struggling to get funding for The Witch. You can see, even with the lack of money, this style come through, this feeling that he nails, and he's just able to get the aesthetic and the vibe absolutely nailed for these. And I think that he's a fantastic artist in crafting these worlds, and I think that he can definitely do atmosphere better than most filmmakers these days. I think that if someone was to say who does atmosphere the best, I think that, because I watched a Kiyoshi Kurosawa film today, I think he does atmosphere absolutely fantastically well, but I think that Eggers is probably the master of atmosphere in his films.
Yeah, and that's really a tough thing, because he does pick those period settings, and I've watched some interviews in preparation for this to kind of get an understanding from the man himself, what he thinks about this film as it came out, but also later on. And I think one of the things that was the biggest standout to me, because you say he made Brothers to get funding for it, right? Another issue in the production of this was that initially his story wasn't as much centered around Thomasin and Anya Taylor-Joy. She wasn't the lead character as much as she kind of becomes that, especially towards the end. But you get the understanding that maybe this is a bit more of an ensemble film, and for marketing purposes and trying to sell the film and getting it produced, they were really hammering home that no, it needs a central like protagonist that we follow. I think the movie works perfectly well with her as the lead, just because Anya Taylor-Joy also has a ton to give here. But I think another reason why this works is because the younger characters, for some reason, especially because they speak in Old English, it is truly impressive how authentic it all comes across. Like, with Eggers' films, you sometimes feel like you have just been teleported into a time period and you're watching something unfold. And usually his films never really break that sort of illusion that you're watching a film to me. Like, I'm usually completely inside the film, even if they speak completely different to what we do now. And I think it comes from his interest in, even more than films, he's interested in folk tales. and you can really feel like the research that goes beyond research. That is just like he wants to craft like truly something on an art thing that will stand the test of time, and that like he has a universal, like he also said he's not thinking about story first, he's thinking about the core, the themes first, right? And no, sorry, my hands.
No, it was
The
great. It was
racking
fantastic
focus.
watching your
Like
hands get focused.
it's like someone is behind the camera.
It's laser
But
quick.
wow. But yeah, like the way that they shot this as well. He's from New England, and it's also set in New England. But they don't film in New England. They film in a really isolated little forest townish thing in Canada, where there's no cell service. So that adds to, I guess, the actors really like is all feeling natural. It's not just like, okay, well, if you turn the camera this way, this Toronto or something like that, or like there's a big town or whatever. You can see Boston somewhere if you just pan the wrong way, and it all comes together into this really eerie movie that I enjoyed a lot more on the rewatch, I gotta say, because I liked The Witch. I knew about how hyped it was, how everyone was so excited because it premiered at Sundance in 2014 in 2015, and then it didn't come out until February the next year in 2016. So a lot of buzz was created until it finally got released by A24, and made a splash, especially for those horror enthusiasts, and was really at the peak, or going towards the peak of A24's capabilities to pick up great horror films, with like Ari Aster doing Hereditary, followed up by Midsommar, and him moving from The Witch to The Lighthouse, which wasn't really horror, and you can see, okay, this guy, pluck him into a period and he's going to get it. It's just been exciting to watch. I really, really, truly loved The Northman. They didn't do it any service with, I think, the marketing of this film, because at the core it still was very much a Robert Eggers movie. Would you agree? I think this movie really does stand the test of time, and I think this is one of those films that even if you watch it 100 years from now, it's still going to work like really, really well. It's not going to age particularly like badly or anything.
No, absolutely not. I think that this film will age like fine wine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's because how heavily this film relies on atmosphere, and how you don't really need to know what is being said exactly, with the odd English that is used, the older style of English that is used, because it tells the story visually. You can feel the fear that builds in sequences. You can see the anger. And once again, one of my favorite things I love in horror films is not seeing the creature, and
Yeah.
not seeing the witch in its full glory, seeing it in moments, seeing it in glimpses, seeing it hide itself in younger forms, for example. And then towards the end with Black Phillip being
It never gives you a true understanding
not
of this.
seen.
This is the antagonist. You never really know. Okay, is it that? Is it like it never gives you a clear answer. This is your antagonist, because it's more of
Yeah.
the part of corruption that exists, and then is represented by Black Phillip, but also
Mm.
like none of it is like clearly spelled out to you what actually happens. I think it often it is kind of clear, the way that it, like the witch takes away in the red hood with the red cape, like takes away the baby and eats it. It's just such a fucked up way to start a movie. So
Yeah.
truly fucked up, and it builds on that so much. And I was really impressed by Caleb as well, as a performer. I think he really sold that. And I don't know how old he was at the time when they filmed this, but I think Anya Taylor-Joy also was like 18 or 19, and it really shows you look so much younger than truly like a child in this. And I think it adds to the horror, to kind of knowing how they are not really equipped to deal with any of this, and obviously them like at the start of the film being ostracized from this Puritan civilization, needing to farm for themselves, and that not really working. I like this whole family dynamic. It really added a lot to the film as they like perish one by one. It's really tragic, and you just yeah, it's really really depressing. I also really like the look of this. I don't think it crowned I don't know if it influenced how much other horror films tend to do this in the last like 10 years, but the way that the score also is happening at the start with like a lot of like string instruments, and then like the ha 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 ha. Like you hear women's voices kind of echoing something in the
Mm.
distance. That sort of eeriness, I feel like. I think Eggers says a lot that like this movie is really close to The Shining. And that sort of inspiration that he took, but also a lot of like Ingmar Bergman films also having that sort of eeriness in them. And I do have the Criterion collection of the man's collective work that I have yet to fully dive into. But clearly, he is a cinephile, and I think it really shows. Again, just his expertise of nailing an atmosphere kind of perfectly.
Yeah, I think that I am even more happy to say that I love this movie because you don't hate the kid actors in it at all. And
Yeah,
that is
they're really good.
that is a great sign of a fantastic. And honestly,
maybe it's because they all
if you look at any of Eggers' work, any of Eggers' work when he works with kids, he knows how to work with kids.
Yeah,
which is a really hard thing to say for a lot of filmmakers. That's a really hard skill to have as a filmmaker, is to be able to work with kids and dogs, because there's a dog in this as well. And
he said he's never going to work with like the same thing. We're going to talk about that, I guess, when we talk about the lighthouse, but like with the seagulls and working with the goats. And this was, he said, like truly horrible. He learned a lot from this. And I think to have this as your debut feature film is just so impressive. It really is. And the man has only made like 4 movies now, 3 that you've seen. To like, if he makes another 10 film, he's going to be up there as like one of like, and they stay on the same quality as like his first 4. He's going to be seen as like one of the best filmmakers of our generation, like easily.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I'm just so excited what he does next, because after
and then
Nosferatu,
he'll turn 60 and he'll do a Ridley Scott and just make a billion movies.
I feel like even if he shits out stuff, there's still going to be like a lot in that is interesting. Even if he does, like, it's nice to see someone start off not having to do the one for me, one for you straight away. And the big, budget that he got for Northman didn't mean that like they don't trust him for Nosferatu, for like a bigger, like with a bigger cast and whatever. He's just cruising by, when I don't feel like someone like Ari Aster of A Beau Is Afraid got the same thing, because his films were still universally seen as like, that was great. The craft was there. Maybe just the audiences didn't show up to what we expected. But that's, to me, when we look back at these films, about like, do they stand the test of time? Is there enough reason to revisit them? Then yes, man, fuck yeah. For The Witch, go see that again. I loved it. I was really captivated by the world, and obviously, I think at this stage, anything that Anya Taylor-Joy is in, we're like, yep, we're going to watch it.
I'm gonna watch it.
Least, yeah, for sure interested. To me, on the rewatch, I moved this up from 4 to a 4.5 star. It was flirting with the 5-star even. I think it's that good. But yeah, that's my rating for the film.
This is a 5 out of 5. I think it is spectacular, stellar, rewatchable, a fantastic feature debut, and most importantly, some damn fun cinema.
The Eggman has done it again. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Let us know what you think of The Witch. Is it Eggers' best? What's your best? Have you seen Nosferatu? So many questions to answer. And if you want to see more videos about his filmography, we got a whole playlist where we go over all of his films. And I kind of don't want to do a video where we rank or discusses his filmography as a whole, because I feel like that's going to be torture to say like this one's better than the other one, because they're already good. Go watch more Robert Eggers movies if you haven't already. And yeah, we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Nosferatu.